Namaste, welcome. My name is Thomas. This is Lighthouse Yoga. Thank you so much for joining us. A couple props, blocks, cushion. We'll get started. We'll get started sitting. I'm gonna do something that we've never really done, which is to focus on this transition that we often do to the floor, which is chaturanga, knees, chest, and chin into cobra. And sometimes we just go through that because there are so many different ways to get through that safely. So I want to show you a couple different tools, and my hope in showing you this is that you'll figure out where to maneuver your body safely through the transition so that you can put a lot of pressure on your upper rib cage, on the sternum up here. So I don't have a chest, so I have to kind of guess a little bit about how this is all works for everyone. But I wanted to use the blocks this morning because of that particular, we'll kind of get into this spot. So I'm just showing you now so you can see this. Hopefully this is showing up on the camera. It looks like the purple is just blending in with my black shirt, but hopefully you all can tell. Yeah, and we'll sit and breathe. So friends at home, there's a playlist if you would like to use that. There'll be a link to that too. And we'll sit and breathe for a minute. Feel free to close your eyes. Use a block. You guys can run the length of the room if you want to, but if you prefer to be looking at me, it's fine. Either way. Yeah, it's good. I'm happy. Not for me. You enjoy yourself. So let's sit and breathe. As you find your seat, just breathing in deeply and breathing out with a little bit of strength, and finding the strength of your exhalation is so useful, because when you breathe all the way out, you can then take a fully fresh breath in. And a lot of times we don't feel like we're able to inhale satisfying enough because we don't exhale completely. So give yourself that time to breathe all the way out. When you exhale, you're going to feel that strength in your abdomen, right? You're going to feel a little bit more of the power toward the solar plexus and the diaphragm. When you inhale, we actually feel expansion in the chest first, right? Even though a lot of times in a yoga practice, we'll emphasize belly breathing, right? The abdominal breath. Right? For our purposes this morning, we're gonna think about breathing up into the upper register. And to help you a little bit more, let's take the hands at the knees or in the lap, palms up. And when you inhale, spread your fingers, open your palms. And when you exhale, squeeze your fingers into fists, just a little tight squeeze. Going back and forth, opening on your inhalation and closing on your exhalation. So this will help us in two different ways. The first is that squeezing of your exhalation. Right? Feel almost like a third fist near the pit of your stomach, right? Tightening. And you can feel it release when you open your hands. We'll go back and forth just a few more times. When you open your hands, when you spread your fingers, think of the ribs expanding. Right? Just like your fingers nice and wide open, letting the light shine through. And when you squeeze your hands, the ribs contracting, right? Feeling a kind of squeezing, a cinching in of those ribs. Let's just do this one more breath. Exhaling fists. And inhaling, open fingers. You never have to stay with me, you're breathing. We'll relax the hands, you might wiggle the fingers. We're gonna make a very simple twist. Sitting up nice and tall, full breath in. And we'll turn to the right, and exhaling as you rotate. And of course, you can turn and take a peek over your shoulder. Your right hand on the floor behind you, your left hand over to your leg. Flip your left hand open. So you're gonna, again, spread the fingers and use the back of your wrist for leverage. And sitting up just a little bit taller, let your head turn over to that left shoulder. And just a couple more breaths, emphasizing again the upper register, lifting the chest high. So when you inhale, heart shines, that sternum lifts, and we'll try to keep that length for one more exhale. Good. The next time you breathe in, we'll come back to the center, just letting it slowly pass back. Shoulders balanced, you can rock a little bit on the hips, feel the inner length as you inhale. Right, we'll turn over to the left, exhaling and feeling that rotation. Your left hand behind you, your right hand over to your leg. See if you can level off the shoulders across the upper back. Your right hand is going to flip open, spreading the fingers just like your ribs. And your head gradually turning like you're looking over your right shoulder, taking a peek. And you might keep your eyes closed, of course, right? As you take a peek over your shoulder, just feeling the length in your neck, the chest high towards your chin. Stay for your final exhalation. Maybe everything rotates a little bit tighter. And we'll come back inhaling. Slowly dissolve the pose. We'll rest the shoulders. I'm going to change the way the ankles are crossed. So if it helps you to lean back, if you're in a kneeling position, you can stay kneeling, of course, right? You don't have to make a change. Good. We're going to circle the arms overhead, looking up to the ceiling. Really reach up through the fingers. Imagine climbing a ladder with the right arm a little bit higher and then the left arm a little bit higher. And our main purpose here is to feel a little bit more length out of the waist, that feeling like you can ground down in the hips. And then we're going to tilt over to the right side, taking that hand all the way to the floor. You can bend your elbow as you cushion, reaching long through the fingers, and then turning to look at your left elbow. We're going to rise up over the arc, over the rainbow, your left hand to the floor. And of course, you can bend your elbow. Turn the chest forward to look up at your elbow, your inhalation, your breath, bring you up and over. We'll just go one more time to the right. See if you can turn your sternum to look to the ceiling, up and over. Your left hand catches you softly, balance on the hips. And we'll rise to the center, the hands together, palms to the heart, trace the midline, prayer position, and we'll pause here a moment. If you'd like to establish any dedication or set intention for your practice, something that feels significant to you personally or universally. And holding that in your mind and in your heart, will offer one sound of Om. A nice full breath in. Om. Full breath when you're ready. Letting your exhalation release the hands nice and softly. We'll stretch the legs out in front for just a moment to free up the knees, and we'll go back and forth pointing and flexing. Just find some space in the ankle joints through the knees, through the hips, and then we'll take the toes side to side just to free the hips as well and get some rotation. And friends at home, you can hit play on the playlist anytime, and we'll meet on the back. So take time setting anything to the side that you might have been using, and we'll lower down to the floor here. So this upside down child's pose we call Pavana Muktasana, knees to the chest, and When you first hit play on the playlist, you won't hear anything because that first track is silent. It just gives us a little bit of a buffer. Hang out here a few more moments in the relative quiet. And after rocking a little bit, we'll settle the feet down to the floor. Walking your feet a little bit apart into that crooked corpse pose we call Shavasana. The knees can lean together. Right now, your hands at your thigh bones. Your fingers are pointing upwards toward your knees. And with the feet spread apart, just giving a little bit of pressure with the soles of the feet into the ground. And then keeping your heels on the ground, we'll lift the toes, flexing the ankles so you can lift your ball mounts. And just let your toes turn side to side, just a little windshield wiper. And if you can, try to isolate the movement to the ankles and the shins, although the knees can't help but get involved. Good. And then we'll pause for just a second and let the thighs lean side to side. And your hands are there sort of to catch your thighs on the outer sides of the movement. So keeping this kind of narrow within the bounds of your yoga mat, just going a couple more times right and left. And you could offer resistance. So when your knees go to the left hand pushes back to the center, the right hand pushes the right thigh back to center. And then we'll lower the toes. Knees together, once again, just let it settle. And a few things here with the breathing. We're going to take the hands to the hip bones, and all you need are a couple of your fingers. Pointer and middle finger would be sufficient. And then from those hip bones, walk your fingers just half an inch inward. And you're going to be on some of the softer part of your body, tender area. And we're going to say the letters KH with our mouths and our breath. So it'll sound like K. And when you say K, you'll feel the muscles under your fingers kind of spring to life. So go ahead and try that, and you can K a couple times. And sometimes if you say it in quick succession like that, you're able to keep the muscles flexed. And ideally, we're able to say K just once and then hold those muscles strong. And if you can feel what's really happening in your body, you're able to flex those muscles without saying K. Right, and then we're just going to relax while we breathe. And then shift your hands a little bit higher toward the lower ribs. Your heels of the hands, the palms on the lower part of the ribs, your fingers near the solar plexus, that upper part of your abdomen. And here we're going to say the letters H-U-H, again, with our mouths and with our breathing. So it'll sound like huh. And we'll take a big breath in together and exhale it nice and long, say huh, like you're making that fist. Do you remember? Let's do that one more time together. Big breath in. Wonderful. So now the idea again is if you could keep those muscles flexed, maybe with saying huh, maybe not, and maybe you're able to keep them flexed even as you're breathing in and breathing out, which is kind of a trick. Good. All right, so let's let all of that relax. Take your arms out into a great big T. Let your knees windshield wiper side to side. Now you can go the full range of the motion, that full rainbow from the right side to the left side. And you can decide how close you want your heels to your hips, right? The closer your feet are to your bottom, I think the more intense this actually is. So, if you want to make it a little more interesting, you can play with that distance. Likewise, the pace of your breathing. So you don't have to go especially fast or especially slow. We all have these biorhythms, right? The heartbeat, the circulation, right? The way the nervous system functions, right? And each one of us is different, and that's part of the beauty of creation. And our yoga practice can help us to acknowledge and honor that unique rhythm, just like your fingerprint, just like your breathing pattern. We'll take it one more to the right and one more to the left. When you are finished, we'll meet back in the center, walking the feet closer together, and then straightening your legs one at a time. And sliding the arms overhead next to your ears. And again, imagine climbing a ladder with your right arm reaching and then your left arm reaching. And as you continue the right arm alternating to the left arm, feel that shifting through the shoulders and a little bit through the waist. Add the legs, so when the right arm reaches, the right leg pushes in the opposite direction, and then your left arm extends in the opposite direction. And see if you can arch your lower back. So as you continue to climb the ladder a couple more times, press a little bit down in your pelvis, right? Anchor the sacrum, let the heart rise. And then we're gonna pause climbing the ladder. Keep your shoulders on the ground, lift your chest a little higher. See if you could squeeze your shoulder blades to raise the heart, lift the sternum. And while we're in this awkward position, flex your ankles. It's almost like you're doing fish pose, but on your shoulders, right? Pelvis anchored. We're gonna say k, k. And see if you can trigger what we call the transverse abdominis, those deep core muscles. See if you can add the h, right? So when you exhale, you find the strength and power in the solar plexus. And you still have your spine long and a little bit lifted. One more big breath in. K, k, h, h. Yeah, amazing, amazing. Yeah, we're gonna relax all of that effort. Step your feet toward your hips. Setting up a bridge pose, raise your arms first to the ceiling and then lower your arms next to your body with your elbows bent, that robot structure. Dig into the heels to lift your hips. Press into the elbows, we'll rise a little bit higher. You can organize the shoulders, rocking a little bit side to side. We'll keep the robot structure for this first one though, because we'll make some changes as we go along. See if you can bring a little bit more pressure to the upper back and shoulders using the friction of your yoga mat, moving those shoulder blades toward your hips. A little bit of pressure on the back of your head for just one more big breath in. And we'll use our exhalation to lower steady and easy back to the ground. Bring your knees to your chest, grab the backs of your thighs. Lifting your head toward your knees for a moment, we're gonna straighten and bend the legs. Point your toes, making your feet into fists. Nice and strong through the ankles, strong through the arches. Feel the shins, especially when you try to get your knees all the way straight. And then we're gonna hold the legs somewhat straight, flexing the ankles. Push up through the heels a little bit. Lower your hands flat, lower your shoulders and your head too. We're gonna lower the right leg halfway. Take a big breath in, and on your exhalation, lift your leg back up to join the left. And then your left leg will take its turn halfway down, breathing in fully. And we'll exhale to lift the left leg. So that's our pattern. We'll go right and left. Inhale on the way down, which is a little confusing at first. And then we'll exhale on the way back up, which makes sense. Your left leg coming down and back up. Good. So continue to alternate right and left. Keep the strength to your pelvis. You'll notice that as one of your legs gets closer to the floor, the lower back starts to arch. And grab the floor with the pelvis, increase the pressure on the sacrum, and you'll feel those transverse abdominis, those k muscles come into play. Just one more time with your right leg. This is perfect, you all. One more time with your left leg. Great effort. And when you're finished with that left leg, bend both of your knees, your feet to the floor. Bridge pose will start with those robot arms. Dig into the heels to lift your chest, lift your hips. Arms now could come straight to the floor, grabbing either the edges of your yoga mat or join your hands together, interlacing fingers. And of course, you could rock again side to side, get your shoulder blades to lift the heart. They're fantastic, you all. Yeah, corpse pose arms are a fan favorite, right? So you could spread your fingers and open up the palms. In every case, try to move your chest a little bit closer to your chin, and then move your chin a little bit away from your chest, keeping room for your throat. And then another modification is to add the pressure to the back of your head, and your chin might have to come closer to your chest again, but you'll feel like you're in just the right spot. Full breath in. We'll exhale everything. Release the hands nice and slowly to clear the coast, your hips down to the ground. Once your hips touch, straighten your legs one at a time. You can return your hands flat near the thighs or the arms overhead alongside your ears. You could split the difference with goddess pose. Raise your right leg straight up into the air. Big breath in as you push up through the heel, and we'll exhale the right leg back to the floor. Left leg lifting, inhale on that slow rise, and exhale on that slow descent. Right side and left side, stay with your breathing. Inhale the way up and exhale the way down. If you want to go a little bit faster, that's fine. Just keep your breath connected. So you're just inhaling a little bit more swiftly, exhaling a little bit more swiftly. And of course, you could go the opposite direction a little bit more slowly. We'll do one more time with the right leg and one more time with the left leg. When you're finished with your left leg, bring your knees toward your chest. Straighten your legs toward the ceiling, flex your ankles. We're gonna do both legs. Halfway down, breathing in, exhale, take it all the way back up. Now, of course, you could lower to 6 inches, right? Inhaling, just make sure you're able to increase that pressure to the pelvis and keep your lower back safe, right? So that's really the edge that we're trying to find, is that strength to the core that lets the lower back participate without asking too much of those lower back muscles, right? It is interdependent with the inner thighs as well. So if you've got 2 more with the legs in unison, that's incredible, right? Amazing effort. The knees start to bend a little bit. Let that happen. If things start to shake a little bit, that's par for the course, right? We'll take the feet flat to the floor, setting up our bridge pose. And my hope is that this feels awesome. You can keep your arms overhead wherever you have them. Robot style arms is wonderful. And as you bring your hips up high, you might actually lift your head for a second so you can organize the shoulders again. The inner thighs parallel, so we recognize the knees have a tendency to drift apart, and we feel how strong we go through the inner core. Right? You could trigger the transverse again, k. You could trigger the upper abdomen and solar plexus, that breath, right? Feeling that deeper strength. Got 2 more. Nice and steady through the feet, strong through the tops of the thighs and the buttocks. Good. Full breath in. And using your exhalation to calm down, slow and steady. Good. Fantastic. Good. Bring the knees to the chest, your head to your knees, rocking a little bit side to side. And just to make that distinction, your lower back flat on the floor here. Good. Pause in the center, grab the backs of your legs. We'll kick the feet up, bend your knees quickly to rock forward. And you could go back and forth a few more times if you please. We're heading to our hands and knees. So take your time. We'll meet on all fours. You could crisscross your ankles and ride the momentum up and over. And of course, sitting and taking a safer route, swing the feet around behind you. So knees beneath your hips, your hands beneath your shoulders. We'll find cow pose to start. Let the tail feathers tilt as you look up, big breath in. Your exhalation to squeeze, rounding, chin to your chest. And we'll move back and forth, breath in, open up through the heart. And we'll exhale, feel the squeeze, rounding deep. Just a couple more cycles. Spread the fingers, root down through the palms. A little bit of pressure to the shins, the tops of the feet into the floor. Or if you've got the toes tucked under, grab the floor with the toes, right? Both of those are beautiful options. And the next time that you have your head lifted, we're gonna pause, walk your knees backwards and lower down to the front of your body. So we're gonna bring the hips and the abdomen to the floor. Slide your elbows forward, Sphinx pose. And the forearms here parallel, the palms flat. Typically we have the elbows directly underneath the shoulders, but bring them just a couple inches forward. Good, let your ribs sink, your shoulders creep up by your neck, and the shoulder blades are coming together, right? This is kind of where we usually try to avoid, but we wanna feel that we can go here for a second. Press into your elbows and lift your head, lift your chest, feel the shoulders come down away from your ears, And we're just going to do that 2 more times, going back and forth, shoulders to the ears, into the neck. Keep your head lifted, right? Looking between your thumbs, right? Just feeling this action through the armpits and the shoulder blades squeezing in a little bit. Okay. We'll just open up one more time. Good. Now pressing down to the tops of the feet, there's a feeling like you could drag yourself forward. And we try to keep the shoulders down away from the ears, lifting your elbows for a moment. Good, give it 2 more breaths. Now there's a fair amount of pressure on the pubic bone, but we feel like we could pull forward from there. 1 more breath in. We'll exhale the elbows down, slide your elbows to the side, make a little pillow and rest your forehead. Pressing down to the tops of both of the feet, firm the thighs. Lift your right leg only, half locust. We're gonna flex that right ankle. Press back through the heel, really strong. We'll point the toes and lower the right leg. Press the right foot down while you lift your left leg. So that anchoring effect is just as important as the left leg extending and lifting. Strong from your buttocks, we'll point the toes and lower the left leg down. Please bend both of your knees. Good, heels toward your butt, swing your calves side to side. Just feeling that rolling motion to your thigh bones. Notice the pressure on your abdomen, that area of the solar plexus. The closer you bring your heels to your butt, you're gonna feel your hips pop up a little bit. That front of the pelvis, that k region, and the transverse abdominis. And you can apply a little bit of pressure to the thighs. And as we rock and roll a couple more times right and left, feel the pressure to the outer thigh bones, right? The inner thigh bones. We'll come back through to the center before lowering the feet. Good. Please lift your head, slide your hands back near your chest, even with your ribs. We're gonna push up away from the floor. All right, so here's the first time we're gonna use our block. Grab hold, and you're gonna take it on the middle height, right? So there's the lowest height, there's the tallest. We're gonna find the middle height. And you're gonna decide whether you're gonna run the block vertically or side to side. I'm gonna run it vertically because I don't have anything in the way here, but you might choose to run it side to side. And then we're gonna lower down. My collarbones are here, so I'm gonna put the block right underneath my collarbones, or I'm gonna put my collarbones right over the block. And you might have to check it out and figure out, okay, so you're above your chest, right? That's the main thing. Obviously, you don't wanna be on your throat. That's really important, right? So below the collarbones on that upper region. Now your hands are there to mitigate the pressure, right? So you're able to hold yourself and say, okay, that's too much pressure, or that pressure feels good. And what I would like for you to do here is breathe into the block, right? Allow enough pressure that the block is giving you a safe and healthy resistance across the upper ribs. The influence of that block coupled with your breathing, and you're gonna move your chin up and down, sort of like you're saying yes, but you're gonna be very careful with that movement. You could lift your head a little bit and say no, right? You're gonna be very careful with that movement too. Good. And we'll pause all the movement to the head before we raise the body up off the brick. Now, the question becomes, can you do that without the block? So as you lower your body to the floor, I'm gonna show you this, and you can certainly watch me, but we're gonna come down in front of the chest, below the collarbones. Now my chin is lifted so I can talk to you, but ideally I'm almost kissing the floor. So I'm bringing the front of my chin on the floor rather than the bottom of my chin. And again, this is one of the more awkward and less addressed movements because it is so awkward and there are so many challenges. So I'm not gonna spend a ton of time on this. You're absolutely in cow pose. These are beautiful, you all. Feel like you could push the floor away and we'll come up. Now, make sure the block is out of the mix. We're gonna find our downward dog and you know, just to kind of cleanse the palate for a moment. So tuck the toes under and we'll bring the hips up high. Now, from my perspective, you all looked awesome, right? But you know, it's so much subjective how you feel in the pose. And again, our whole reason for doing all of this is that we're breathing into that pressure and finding a new way to experiment and explore that upper register. Let's find our plank pose. Good, take your knees down and pause. Same thing you just did, tilt your tail feathers, cow pose. Try to lower the upper chest onto the floor. Good, again, you're sort of kissing your mat, the front of your face is on the ground. Lift up just enough so you can slink forward. Point your toes, hips on the ground. Cobra pose will raise the heart. Shoulders pull back from the ears. Give it a full breath in. And we'll come down on the exhalation. Downward facing dog. Toes tucking under, hips to the sky. We're going to do that one more time. And you can decide, okay, I like the way I usually do it better. Just knees and hips. Right? If you want to experiment, we call it knees, chest, and chin, the Ashtanga Pranam. It's definitely a challenge. Plank pose. Keep breathing. Knees, hips high. We'll lower the heart center just above the chest. Toes pointing. Look at the floor. Lift your heart, then lift your head. Big breath in. Lower the abdomen to curl the toes. Hips high. So neutralizing that back bend somewhat allows you the access to the core, and that's so helpful for us. Good. We're gonna walk forward small steps. At some point, pretend like you were walking on your heels. Lifting your hands half an inch. Relax your wrists, let your head hang toward the floor. We'll stay in the forward bend. You could give the wrists a little twirl, right? There's so much work that the forearms were doing just then. So reverse that twirl, reverse that rotation, and really mindful movement, not just shaking it out, but curling the fingers creatively. And one more breath will relax the hands, the arms from the shoulders. Rock a little bit of pressure into the heels, bend your knees slightly. Hands to your hips will rise with a little bit of our chair pose, head first, chest open. And once you arrive, take a step or two to the top of your mat. We'll bring the hands together in prayer position at the heart. You're good, Wendy. You stay where you are. Good. We're going to take the arms forward and up. Looking up, take a nice full breath in. Circle the arms wide, and we'll dive into the fold. Taking the hands to the shins, only halfway up. Nice full breath in. And we'll exhale to slide. Step your left foot back, please. Put your knee down to the floor. Just here for a second on the fingertips to look up. Heart open. Now, all that space we were signifying, right? Feel that shine forward. We're going to step forward as we lift the knee. You can straighten both legs and shift the pressure for a little support. Hands to shins, only halfway rising. Your right foot is going to step back, and you've got lots of time to get there. Put your knee onto the floor. Find your fingertips. You could always step your hands to your thigh if you needed a little bit more space to breathe. And opening the heart, cow pose, cobra pose. We're gonna step forward, fingers to the ground, lift and straighten both legs. Hands to shins when you arrive at the top, big breath in. Dive to your fold before you stand up, sort of bouncing off the ground with that momentum, return. Hands to your heart and let it rest. Circle the hands back together with a fresh breath. We'll lift up on the inhalation and exhale to fold it. Hands to your shins, only halfway. Good, lower, we're stepping the left foot back. Keep your knee in the air, toes straight ahead. Fingers stay on the floor for just a second. Extend your left arm straight ahead and then put it right back down on the floor. And then extend your right arm straight ahead and then put it right back down on the floor. Left arm one more time there and hold it. Right arm up front and hold it. Stay another breath, straighten your back leg, then rise up. You could look up at your fingers, give it one more full breath in, and come right back down. Exhaling, we're stepping through to the front. Left foot meets right foot at the top, monkey pose. Feel the space as you reset the hips. Right foot stepping back. Finding that runner's lunge, we're keeping the fingers on the ground just a moment or two. Right arm first, and then set it down, feel the balance. That left knee directly above your ankle, left hand back to the floor. Right arm is gonna go and stay. Left arm is gonna follow and stay. And you're gonna hold for just one more breath. And we're gonna rise up strong. Arms to the sky. You could look up to the fingers. Let it wobble, big breath in. We'll exhale the hands to the ground. We are stepping through. Press into your front heel as you spring off the back foot. Hands to shins, monkey pose. Slide down into the fold before you stand all the way up. Big heart. Hands together and down to the heart. Arms behind you. Let's look down and join the hands. Knuckles toward the floor. We'll lift up through the chest. Bend your knees as you fold it forward. Arms away from your body. Relax your jaw. Big breaths. Take the arms slowly to your body, hands to the floor. Halfway lifting, hands to shins. Exhale to lower. Step your left foot back, please. Put your knee to the floor. Good. Balance on your fingers, just a moment to look up. You're going to make your right hand into a fist and bring that hand to the inside of your ankle. Your left hand also will become a fist. Walk your right foot a little bit to the side. Now, leaning forward a little deeper into the lunge, look forward and up, cow pose to open the heart. Bend your left knee to lift your left foot. Now, you're going to look over your right shoulder. Let the left calf just swing wherever it goes. And then turn to look over your left shoulder. Let your calf swing where it goes. The right leg is going to do what it does. Let it do it. Look over the right one more time. Feel into your hips. Let it be a little bit sloppy. It's okay. Look over to the left. Bring it back to the center. You're going to put your foot down and straighten both legs. Head toward your arms. Breathing. Your right hand is going to come to the outside of your right foot now. Walk the right foot a little bit into the center. Good. Head down, and one more time. You can look over your right shoulder. Let the left heel swing. Look over your left shoulder. You could put your left foot flat for a second, just like in warrior. We'll bring it back to the center before we step forward. So you can use the momentum, a little hop step to get you there. Hands to your shins. Give it a breath in. Exhale to lower your right foot stepping. We're going to take the knee to the ground. Good. Find your fingertips as you look up. Good. Your left hand's going to become a fist to the inside of your foot. Walk the left foot wide. Both hands fists as you look forward. A little bit more of your cow pose. Just another breath. Go ahead and lift your foot. Go ahead and look over your left shoulder. Let your right foot swing. Look over your right shoulder. Let your left calf swing. One more time, each way. You can let it be a little sloppy. That left foot, you can teeter-totter through the ankle. You don't have to keep that left foot so solid. We'll meet you back in the center. And we're going to be straightening both legs. That right foot on the floor. Keep the toes straight ahead for now. You're in mock pyramid. Your left hand can go to the outside of your foot. Find your fingertips again, your head toward your arms. You can pulse on that back heel just a couple times up and down. And then when you've got your heel lifted, let it swing a little bit to the right as you look left. Let it swing a little bit to the left. Maybe it goes all the way to the floor as you look right. And of course, you could go one more time, take a peek left. Again, let it be a little bit sloppy, a little bit derelict. It's good. Good. We're going to be stepping forward. So take the time to align the toes. Everything's solid as you step up. Hands to your shins. Feel the length. Dive to your fold before you stand. We'll circle the arms. Hands together and down to the heart. All right, let it rest just a moment. Circle the arms from the side. We're going to grab the right wrist. Take it up and over to your left. Good. We'll rise to the center and switch the arms up and over to your right. Breathing. Good. Lift through the center. We'll take our swan dive, folding. Hands to your shins, halfway lifting. Step your left foot back, warrior one. Arms overhead. You can walk it to your thigh, of course. Almost as soon as you get here, straighten your front leg, grab that left wrist, and you're taking it over to your right side. You could turn to look up at your left elbow. And again, let the sternum shine just a little higher. Feel the shoulder blades underneath you. And We'll lift up to the center, big breath in. Exhaling to fold, bend your front knee. We're stepping all the way back, downward facing dog. Lift your heel, lift your hips. Good, so you decide, but know what you're doing before you go. Inhale to plank, exhaling to the ground. One piece or knees, chest, and chin. You're gonna kiss the mat. Try to keep looking at the mat as you slide forward. Cobra pose. Shoulders low, we'll lift the heart, and we'll come back downward facing dog. Right. So we want to engage the triceps, right? Don't shy away from using those arm muscles. That's what they're there for. Left foot, right foot, all the way to the front. You could take many steps. You could jump, hands to your shins halfway. Your right foot will step back. And again, this is warrior one. Ground that back heel, nice solid foundation. You don't have to be on a tightrope. Arms to the sky. And again, almost as soon as you get there, press into that front foot. Grab your right wrist. Up and over to the left. And as you look at your right elbow, turn the heart high. Really press into that right foot. That's that half locust again. Give it a full breath in. We'll rise. Exhale everything to the ground. We're stepping back, downward facing dog. Again, take a moment here and decide if you're going to go knees, chest, and chin, or one piece, or just knees and hips. It's a wonderful way to go. And keep yourself safe. Make sure you're not overdoing it in the shoulders. Right? But again, if you're able to find that pressure on the upper sternum, take a breath and then slide forward and through. We'll find our Cobra pose. And we'll meet back in downward facing dog. As long as you're making the right choices for you, they are the right choices. You're taking that right foot and the left foot all the way to the front. Halfway, feel the length. Dive down like you could reach underground. All the way up, we'll reach for the sky. Hands to the heart. Good. Let it rest a moment. We're gonna bring the hands around to the pelvis. So in that sacral bone that we were talking about earlier, we're doing all those leg lifts, you know? So we find the knuckles right on the pelvis, palms open, chin to your chest. We're gonna press the hips in space. Now about halfway back, squeeze your butt muscles and begin to look up. You can tip your head all the way back if you choose. Keep the front of your thighs strong. And if you're all the way at your edge, come back just a tiny bit so you can say k, k. Yeah, good. Stay there and just one time. Inhale to stand up. Exhale to fold it forward. Just slide the hands free. Walk your fingers around to the right side of your yoga mat. Swing your hips to the left. Walk your hands to the left side of your yoga mat. Swing your hips to the right. So beautiful, you all. We'll come back to the center. Hands to shins, halfway lifted. Exhale, slide down, stepping your left foot back. Warrior one. We're gonna open up warrior two. Straighten your front leg, turn to the side. Arms out level. And again, your right knee is gonna bend. Take a look at your right hand. Just breathing. We're gonna take the right forearm onto the thigh, your left arm to the ceiling or alongside your ear. We're returning to warrior two. So take that left arm behind you and simply raise the torso. Pretend like the legs have no idea what's going on up top. Now, option to return to side angle, or you could take a lower version, your right hand on your foot. Your left arm could go alongside your ear. We are gonna come back up though, so make sure you've got the pressure deep into that right heel, returning to warrior two. Take a moment and pause. I know, breathing. But look back at your left hand, and then take a look to your right hand. That left arm is gonna initiate cartwheel overhead, hands to the floor, and step back, downward facing dog. Great effort. You're very welcome to stay in downward dog and let this vinyasa pass on by. Otherwise, you know what to do. Have a plan as you move through so you can stay safe, right? Palms rooted, right? Experimenting with that brush passed on the heart center. You don't have to put a lot of pressure there, but that's one of the reasons why we make that experiment, is to feel how powerful the breath can be. From your downward dog, we're gonna step the left foot and then the right foot all the way to the top of the mat. Once you get there, hands to shins, and we're stepping the right foot back, starting warrior one. So heel grounded and the arms to the sky. And of course, you can look up to the fingers and straighten your left leg, open to the side, warrior two. With the arms level, bend your knee. Just another breath. Tony, bring that left hand to me. Perfect. Your forearm is gonna go on top of your thigh. Right arm straight up and down or alongside your cheek. So this is variation A. Good, we'll come back up, warrior two. Breathe. You can look at that right hand just for fun. Check out some neck mobility and then back to your left hand and you decide, stay on the high side or go a little bit lower. Your palm fits right on top of the bridge of your foot. It's like they were made for each other. Breathing. And again, feel the power from that left glute, right? The left heel, so strong from the groin. We're coming back up to warrior two, like nobody had any idea. No clue. Look at your right hand. Look at your left hand and then cartwheel, hands overhead, downward facing dog. We're stepping back. Amazing effort, you all. Fantastic. Let's stay together here. Knees, chest, and chin to the ground. Into our Cobra Pose. We'll point the toes. Lift the heart. Good. Lower your chin and your forehead to the floor. Or I should say your chin or your forehead to the floor. Right leg lifting, half locust. Flex your right ankle, bend your right knee. Lift your right thigh just a little bit higher to trigger the butt muscles. That's our main objective. The hamstrings get in on the act. Straighten your leg and we'll point the toes. Lower it down safely. Just the one time your left leg is gonna lift. Flex the ankle, bend your knee. Like you're squeezing a grapefruit between your heel and your butt. Okay, lift your thigh. One more big breath in. We'll straighten the leg. We'll exhale it to the ground. We're on our way downward facing dog. You can do it. Stay with your breathing. Hips up to the sky. Our pattern is right foot, left foot, all the way to the front. You decide how to get there, and then we'll stand up directly. Press the feet into the floor. Hands together and to your heart. Let it rest. So since we've got our blocks, let's take that block on the highest height and we'll put it in the upper left corner. And this will be warrior three into a half moon. And please be playful with this. The right foot stepping back, arms out wide into a T. You could start with the arms overhead if you prefer, but we're gonna lift that right heel and raise the right leg. So just what you did a second ago, half locust, flex the ankle, and you can start to lean forward into warrior three. And after a few fun breaths, you can take your left hand to the block or to the floor, your right hand to your hip. See if you can keep that right ankle flexed, right? So you keep the energetic extension out through the heel. Your right arm could reach for the sky. And of course, you could turn and look up at your right hand. Relaxing toes. On your standing leg, bend your knee just a tiny bit to find your heel. Lower your right hand first and then your right foot. Brilliant effort, you all. It's gorgeous. Squatting down, we're going to lift the heels and lower the hips. You can move your block over to the other side while we're down here. Now lower your head to lift your hips. Hands to your hips, open up through the heart. Your left foot will step back when you're ready. Make sure you've got the distance. So you're reaching for that block a little bit. Again, your left foot back, arms overhead or out to the side. Goddess pose is a wonderful option. You lift your heel, flex your ankle. And again, let the heart shine, right? Really feel that opening through the upper sternum. Your right hand to the floor or to your block. Your left hand can take a pit stop at your hip. Breathe through the belly. Solar plexus awareness, full and free. Feel almost like you're leaning backwards in the pose. Softer touch on that right hand. You got another breath if you want it. They're amazing, you all. Your left hand will go down first, and then your left foot next to your right foot. We're going to lift the heels to squat. You're welcome to stay a little longer, hands to your thighs, shoulders over hips, closing your eyes, steady breath. Right? All of those options available. We're going to be standing up in just a second. So if this isn't so much for you, open your eyes. We'll lower the fingers, lifting the hips and hands to the hips, just as before. Find your mat once again, feet close together. We'll lift both arms alongside the ears. Nice steady twist, turn to your right side, arms separate to a T. So you're just looking straight back at your right hand, almost reaching for the back edge of your mat. Arms overhead, breathing in, facing forward, turn to your left, arms spread wide. Big breath in, arms overhead. Good, right side turning. Inhale, center. And left side turning. From the left side, we'll rise up and then fold. Hips back as you circle the hands. Monkey pose, hands to shins. Lower to step your left foot back, put your knee down to the floor. We're gonna lift both arms up and overhead. Keep the back foot tucked under. I want you to feel like you can grab the floor with that left foot and those toes. Turn to the right side, arms to a T. You're gonna pause here. Pretend like I was holding onto your right wrist and pulling you back. And then I was also holding onto your right knee and pulling you forward. Trying to feel that at the same time through the abdominal core, right? See if you can draw the strength from that inner left thigh. Your left hand's going to the floor, your right arm to the sky, turning to look up, lift your left knee. Brilliant. Now we're gonna rise up into our high lunge. You can stretch your left arm forward and stand up in the lunge. Arms alongside your ears. I know that's a huge transition. You're gonna turn to your right again into the twist. And the same challenge that I had hold of your right wrist pulling you back and your right knee pulling you forward. Your left leg's so strong. Right arm is gonna cartwheel overhead, hands to the floor. We're stepping back, downward facing dog. You all deserve a medal. That was amazing. You have the option to stay put. The vinyasa is there. Plank to chaturanga or knees, chest, and chin like we practiced. Your cobra, your upward facing dog, feeling bigger back bends as we go along. One of the main reasons we avoid locking the joints is to keep the strength, right? We miss an opportunity when we lock out in joints, right? We're able to stay a little bit stronger with a tiny bend. Left foot, right foot to the top. Let's stand all the way up for a moment. Circle the arms, hands together and down to the heart, arms behind your back. Look down to join the hands. This gives you a lot more room in the shoulders. Once you've got the hands connected, however, look up and drop the knuckles to the floor. Bend your knees quite a bit and we'll fold forward, using that chair pose to our advantage. You can always straighten the legs after the fact. Knuckles into the air. Maybe let your head go a little bit softer, shaking no, or a little bit yes. Still breathing, arms to your body. We'll take the hands to the floor. Monkey pose, hands to shins. Right foot stepping back, lower your knee. Low lunge, keep the toes tucked and flexed, arms overhead, rising when you're ready. Twisting to your left side, arms to a level T, parallel with the floor, though your hips are going down and forward. And an imaginary friend is holding onto your left arm, pulling you back. And your other imaginary friend is pulling your left knee forward while you're hammering that left heel down and the back foot is grabbing the floor. Your right hand to the ground. Find your twist, look up at your left hand. Let's give it just a couple breaths. We'll lift that knee in a second. So dig into the toes on that back foot, trying to straighten your knee from your thigh muscles, from your butt muscles, half locust when you lift that right leg. Good. So you can look down as we stand up, but the right arm going first, I think, really helps a lot. Rising into your high lunge. And as soon as you find your balance, really firm that right thigh. We're twisting again to the left. And then someone has hold of that left hand pulling you back and the left knee pulling you forward. So really firm your right thigh. And you're breathing deeply. Arms overhead, you can cartwheel it down, and downward facing dog, we're stepping it back. Hips to the sky. Yeah, let's stay together here. Plank pose, we'll lower the knees only. Finding our camel pose, walk it back, hands to your hips. Like we did standing earlier, palms open, knuckles on the pelvis, chin to your chest. Squeeze the butt muscles, just like in bridge pose, we'll lean back. Of course, you can look up. You could take your hands one at a time to your heels. Tip your head a little bit further back if you're going. Feel the strength through the thighs, right? The quads are so key. Breathe to the tummy. Yeah, Tony, it's awesome. Stay strong here and it's good. It's good. You can go all the way back. As long as knees are in no pain, you're good. Come on up as you inhale, lifting. Exhale, lower it down. Elbows to the floor. Toes pointing, a little pitter patter. The sound of rain on the roof. And then after you, yeah, you could get pretty pitter pattery here. Good, and we'll relax the toes. Let your hips swing a little bit side to side. And in this lower position on the elbows, you might bring your knees a little closer together. Tail feathers are tilted, cow pose for sure through the lower back. Although you might let your head hang. And we're just here a few more breaths. If you want to make a couple circles with the hips, you can go around and around, but make sure that you reverse it so you can feel all the fun. You're like, I'm good. I just want to be still a moment. That's beautiful. Just breathe. Good. We're going to find our way to hands and knees. So as you rise up onto all fours, just take a look around, get your toes tucked under, and we'll meet in downward facing dog, hips to the sky. So right foot, left foot was the pattern, but you might walk it. Hands to shins. Dive into your fold and we'll stand. Circle the arms. Hands together. Good. All right, find your block once more. Over on that left side, we'll start again, warrior 3 into half moon, and this time we'll add a little bit more fun to it. So right foot stepping back, arms wide or overhead, right heel lifting, right foot raising. And we'll take it forward. See if you can hover just a few breaths. Just delay the block a little longer than you want to. And after sufficient displacement, left hand to the block or to the floor, right hand could go to your hip or into the sky. If you're feeling it, bend your right knee, reach for your right foot. You can grab that ankle and open up a little bit, King Dancer. And let go of your foot. Your right hand is going to go to the floor. Maybe you're going to share the block. Keep that right leg in the air, but bend your knee and tuck it behind your left knee. And we're going to find just a little bit of our chair pose. So the left leg is strong as if it were in a squat, and we've got all the pressure on that left heel. Now your left hand is going to move to your hip as you open up cow pose, look forward. Keep the thighs connected as you twist to the left. Yeah, and lifting that left arm maybe. Right? And yes, you're doing it correctly. Some of you are going to reach your left hand back for your right foot and see if you can lift your thigh up into the sky. You don't have to do that. So beautiful. Stay in your standing foot. You're letting go of that back foot if you had hold of it. Left hand to the floor, right foot to the ground, lifting the heels for another squat. And again, you all deserve a medal. That was awesome. Set your block over to the right. Head down, hips lifting. Hands to your hips and we'll stand. Your left foot stepping back. Arms overhead. Warrior 3. Stay with your breath. Left ankle flexing. And again, just a little bit of that delayed gratification everybody talks so much about. So you say that block is so tempting. I'm just going to stay a little bit longer. Right hand to the brick though, you know, it's got to happen sometime. Left arm to the sky and half moon. Celebrate with that left arm in the air. If you're grabbing your foot, let it happen naturally. No struggle. Maybe today is just a different day. It's a beautiful thing. Keep your leg in the air, your left hand down to the floor. Maybe you're sharing the block. Bring your left knee in behind your right knee. Squeeze the thighs a little bit as you rock back into your right heel. Your left hand keeps the block, your right hand to your hip. Open up cow pose, so lift the heart, then twist. And that right arm is in the right spot to lift, almost without a fuss. You can stay there, keep the thighs squeezing, keep your squat, or right hand reaches back to grab that left foot. And if you're grabbing hold of your foot, try to lift your thigh from your thigh. The arm is just along for the ride. Sternum stays high, and at some point, you're going to let everything go, soft as can be. Right hand down, left foot down, lifting the heels, and we'll squat. Set that block away. But we are on the way to the floor here, so if you want to sit down sooner than later, that's great. You can do this no-handed, just sit and roll. We are going to stay sitting, but if you want to pass back and forth a couple times, you're welcome to ride that momentum. And we'll take the feet together. Good, grabbing hold of your ankles. Good, and then we're going to lift the heart. Good, really big breath in, and we'll exhale the nose down to the toes, and we'll let it rest a little bit. Relax your jaw. Give a little bit of pressure to your feet, your heels, your toes, squeezing. And there's almost a feeling like you could extend the top of your head forward, out in space. Two more breaths. And we'll sit up slowly, head first, shoulders back, bring your knees together. Good, legs out in front, just make sure you've got room for your hips, padding for your heels. You can bounce your knees a little bit. Then we'll circle the arms straight up and overhead, full breath in. And the exhalation taking you out and over your head toward your knees. Feeling like you could lengthen a little bit, again, through the top of your head from your core, right? That the abdominal strength was giving you a little bit of that extra space. One more breath here. The next time you exhale, reach long through your fingers, and then try to rise up as you inhale with all that length, the hands together and down to your heart. Take the hands to the floor, bend your knees, the feet flat on the ground. So your fingers are pointing forward or out to the side, and straightening your arms to bring your shoulder blades together. We're going to lift the heart and then lift the hips. Right? And I'm always talking about, the arms want to do more than they should. Let the legs lift you. Just like in bridge, utilize the glutes Find the tops of your thighs as well. The shoulder blades underneath the ribs like a platform to support the heart. And one more big breath in. And we'll exhale to lower the hips nice and safe. Once your hips touch down, flex the ankles and stretch the arms straight out in front. You're going to use your upper arms to press in on the thighs, press in on the outer knees, and then try to push the thighs out into the arms. And see if you can just feel that resistance for a second. All right, good. Now relax that long enough so you can lift your heels and then do it again. Your arms hug in and your thighs are pressing out. And then you're going to relax that long enough so you can straighten your legs and try it again. I know I stopped breathing too. You can breathe. You got to breathe here. Good. All right, feet to the floor. You can hear it, like all the air just gets sucked out of the room. Good. We'll grab the ankles, rock a little bit. So chest high, big breath in, and we'll dive into the fold. Let's give it one more breath. Good. Head up, shoulders back. Grab hold of your big toes. So classic grip is thumb, pointer, and middle finger around the inside of that big toe. And when you grab your big toes, walk your heels in just a little closer. And we're going to lift the heels just an inch off the ground. And hovering here, keep your head up, try to lift the chest. I'm reminding myself as much as you all. And then lift your right foot. Good. And then bring it back in, and then your left foot, just a little bit. You don't have to go all the way yet. We'll bring it back. Good. Right leg coming up halfway or maybe all the way. And enjoy this little push-pull. You know, there's a little kind of throws you off balance. Wouldn't be the worst thing. Right? Right foot in, left leg up. Again, halfway or all the way. And wherever it goes. And again, I'm going to say, don't lock out. Even if you can go all the way straight, keep just a little tiny bend because you get so much more power. You know, don't waste the opportunity. We'll bring that left foot back in. And then of course you can go both legs, right? And again, even if you could lock out, keep a tiny bend so that there's action there, right? That strength protects you from locking as well as keeps everything nice and fun. Heart high, legs together. Oh, that's the one. Good. We're heading to our table. So we'll bend the knees, feet to the floor, hands behind, toes pointing, fingers pointing out or forward, feet parallel, heels pressing when you're ready. We'll lift the hips. You don't have to wait for me to get my cues in order. The head back, breathing through the hips. Good. Full breath in. Good. We'll exhale to lower the hips. Good. Now, bring the feet a little bit closer, but you're going to turn the toes out. Good. And then with the toes turned out, hands turned out, we're going to lift the hips one more time. Now, optional, lift your right foot and straighten your leg to the ceiling. It makes things so much more challenging in the shoulders. So use your left leg, use your butt, put your right foot down, keep the toes turned out. Just get all the muscles involved. Left leg to the ceiling. Holy cow, my friends. Big breath in, and we'll take it down, exhaling, hips to the ground. One last time, Baddha Konasana will join the feet. Again, metals all around, all the way down. Take it easy. You're breathing here. One more breath. And we'll sit up slowly. Hands to your knees, bring them together. We're on our way to our backs here, so make sure you've got room for your head. We'll bring the knees into the chest. And rocking a little bit from side to side. Right, keeping your knees bent, take your feet flat to the floor. Robot style arms, we're going to lift the hips just a little bit to our bridge, just to remind us what it's all about. Feel the thighs strong, breath in. And exhale, take your hips right back down to the ground. Cross your right ankle over your left thigh. Lift your left foot. You can grab over top on your knee. You can reach your right hand through the window. Holding here for a few breaths in our figure four. Your right forearm can offer resistance against your thigh. You could lean just a tiny little bit, couple inches to your left. I'm a proponent of flexing the ankles, though, see what works best for you. Still room to breathe through the chest, through the shoulders. Give it a full breath in. Exhale your left foot to the ground. Try to center your heel in line with your tailbone. Robot style arms. Keep your figure four. Lift your hips up into the bridge again. Try to lift both sides of your pelvis up, up, up. Imagine like you could extend your right thigh forward to the front of the space. You can stay a little bit longer in your bridge. Maybe take your arms underneath you and interlace your fingers and straighten your right leg for the sky. Push up through the heel. Give a little extra squeeze and enjoy yourself. Your right foot eventually will go down to the floor and we'll meet you on the ground to set up the figure four. Hands to your thighs. When you get there, please don't let me rush you with whatever you're getting into. Enjoy yourself. Your left ankle across your right thigh. We'll lift that right foot to grab hold. You can reach up for your knee. You can reach through to grab your thigh. Give it a little squeeze. And your left elbow can nudge away. Tilting just a tiny bit to the right might make all the difference. One more squeeze for good luck. We'll take that right foot to the ground. And again, center it somewhat with your tailbone. Robot style arms initially, lifting to your bridge. You don't have to flatten the hips. You don't have to flatten the thighs. Just feel the pelvis rising, right? And then there's a slight feeling like you could unplug your left thigh bone from the socket, right? Just extend everything forward. And if you're going to join your arms together, now is the time, interlacing fingers, and then maybe you're ready to lift that left leg to the ceiling. If you've already done that bit, because you're like, no, I remembered what to do, and I did my work. I finished my assignment early. You can take your left leg down anytime. Balance the hips. Of course, release the arms. And we'll find our way back to the ground. Hands on your thighs. Same place we started. You remember the k and the h methodology. Good. I wanted to give you an opportunity, if you want to go into the full upward bow pose, you could take your hands near your shoulders, elbows pointing to the ceiling. If you'd like to take one more bridge pose, that's probably the more common option, is to come up one more time into a proper bridge. If you're feeling something else like a shoulder stand, or wanted to go into a headstand, you could certainly take the time to find another inverted posture. If you're going into the upward bow and you're thinking about, oh yeah, I want to lift one of my legs in the upward bow, remember to turn out one of your feet so you have a slight angle and opening in the hips, right? And then you can take that leg up to the sky. So I'm kind of, again, angling my heel in and the toes are pointing out so I can lift that leg. And again, it never has to be straight. You can come down anytime. And after you felt like, oh yeah, you know, I'm good, we'll just rest a moment and we'll take one last twist together. So sometimes you want to circle out the wrists. If you were upside down on the bow pose, you want to rotate out through the shoulders. All of those are wonderful things to do. And we'll keep this somewhat supported. So the knees to the chest and rocking a little bit. Hold your right knee, straighten your left leg out along the floor. It's similar to our half moon, right? The right arm off to the side, your right leg over to the left. And your right foot can rest on that left thigh, or you might hook your big toe behind your left thigh, just for a little extra something, a little extra nudge. You can take your left hand to the front of your right thigh. And if you push your left hand down into the front of your thigh, you can push your thigh up into your palm. And that interaction, that dynamic will allow you to move your pelvis a little bit, cat and cow. That'll allow you to lift the heart a little bit higher. So what we were doing earlier, your left hand could then slide underneath your thigh and help to raise it back up. Rolling to your back, knees to your chest, your head to your knees. We'll hold on to the left leg, right leg out. Shoulders and head return to the floor, your left arm out to the side, your left leg over to the right. And again, you can hook your big toe behind your thigh and pressing them together so the right leg is strong enough that the left leg feels okay, sort of giving it a little bit of pressure. Your right hand could come to the front of your thigh, what would be the normal front-facing part of your thigh. And you're pressing your hand into your thigh downward, and you're pushing your thigh upward toward your chest, toward your chest. Just another couple of breaths. Your right hand under your thigh, giving you an extra little boost as you scoop up your leg. The knees to your chest. Now, I'm going to give you an option for Shavasana in line with everything we've done this morning, using the block and the cushion. And you're welcome to sit up with me. If you're like, I don't want to do any variations, I'm ready for Shavasana, normal, proper, you're welcome to just stay on the floor. Otherwise, you can rock with me and sit up. So what I'm going to show you here is the block underneath your back, and I'm putting the block on its lowest position in the middle of my mat, right and left. And then just for safety, I'm going to put a little blanket up there for a pillow. And what I'm attempting to do is lie back on the block so that it's directly underneath my rib cage, not underneath my lower back, not underneath my neck. So for me, I've got a longer torso. I can use the longer block. You might end up turning it sideways. My friends who know about these sort of things say the block is underneath your bra strap. I take their word for it that that's a good reference marker. And again, I've got my head on a little cushion here, my blanket. You might not need that. The arms are out to the side, palms up. And if you're taking this option with the block, give it a moment and flex your ankles and firm your thighs. almost like you wanted to arch your back toward the block, like you could move your hips toward the block. Suzanne, here, I'm going to give you this. No, you're okay? You can take it. All right, cool. I'll come up. It's too high. Come down now. Yeah, good. Yeah, that should feel good. Yeah. Yeah, and again, this is meant to feel good. So if you're like, this feels like a lot of work, it might not be the thing right now. We want to feel that the block is supporting right underneath the breastbone, right? That center structure of the rib cage. And of course, you don't have to stay here the whole time that we're resting, but you have this as a nice option as you get yourself set up here. I know I cued you to flex your ankles and to firm the thighs. Make sure you can relax your ankles and relax your thighs. Some of you might feel like you could almost pick your butt up for a second, like you could increase the pressure on the block if you just squeeze the butt muscles, or if you just lifted your hips a tiny bit and then put them back down. That would be like the perfect adjustment for your lower back. And that speaks to some of the ways we can use this block and how we shift our perspective, that your body is like a river just flowing along, and the block is just a rock in the river, right? And you just sort of absorb the rock. You just sort of flow above it, around it, right? Sort of integrate the block into your experience fully. And of course, the best way to do that is with your breathing. From time to time, you feel like as the river, you could start to wear down the block. You could put a little pressure back into the brick. And over time, you're just letting the body completely go. Soften your breath. Enjoy the feeling of your body very much alive, very much relaxed. allowing your body to remain still. We are going to move in a step-by-step process to move off the block. So first thing is to give your body a few more deep breaths. When you inhale, spread your fingers open widely, and when you exhale, make your hands into fists. You could do the same thing with your feet. Spread the toes when you spread your fingers, and make your feet into fists when you do that with your hands. And the next time you have your hands and your toes open, you just let them wiggle a little bit. Bending your knees one at a time to bring your feet flat on the floor. Bring your left hand on your hip. Slide your right arm up by your head. You're going to roll off the block over to the right. Your left hand is going to shove the block away from underneath you. Slide it, pick it up, move it, and then just go right back down to the floor in the crooked corpse pose. So as you lie flat, feet walk apart, knees together. You can take your hands to the floor or on your hips. Just enjoy the feeling of the vacancy, right? Notice where the block was and the influence that it had on your back, on your chest. Just breathing here. Stay another 30 seconds or so. Stay attuned to your senses. Your breathing. Once again, notice the strength of your exhalations. As you breathe out, feeling that power toward the pit of your stomach. You don't have to say, huh, but you can remember what that process brought to your awareness, what information it gave you. Walking your feet a little bit closer together, straightening your legs along the floor, stretch your arms overhead alongside your ears. Climbing that imaginary ladder, maybe just one or two rungs. Maybe you want to keep going a few more times right and left, but a yawning breath you might find, stretching your jaw, arching the back. And again, one at a time, we'll bring the knees to the chest and give the legs a hug. And from there, we'll make our way to sitting. You can rock side to side. You can grab hold of your thighs, catch the momentum. And we'll return to where we started, a cross-legged posture, a kneeling posture. Of course, any support from cushions or blocks. We'll take the hands together at the heart and say our farewells. A moment to recall any dedication, any intention. As you breathe, acknowledging within yourself and within one another that which is peace, that is joy, that is love, and that is light. Residing inside of this space with both the knowledge and the experience that we are one with all things. And just one sound of Om, full breath in. Deep breath, and to that light we bow. Namaste. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you all so very much. Please take your time. If you have any questions, let me know. Friends at home, thank you so much. Take care, Lisa. Thank you, thank you. Hope everything worked okay with the blocks. Take your time, my friends. Move slowly. Drink water. All the yoga teacher things I'm supposed to say.